super excited to show you guys this brand new kit from Premier Yarns. And I haven't even opened this myself yet, so we are going to open this together and see what is in this beginner scarf and hat crochets. First we have, okay, so this is a pom-pom maker. The hat has a pom-pom, so we need the pom-pom maker. You are not going to need to buy a single thing. So it's really cool if you're just getting started. Here's a little packet. Let's open this and see what's in here. Okay, I have, oh, my crochet hook. And this is going to be the size that you need to go with the yarn that comes in the kit. And this is a 4mm beautiful crochet hook. I've got some stitch markers and a tapestry needle. You will always need those. Those are going to come in handy for this project and any other project that you might have. Okay, let's check out the yarn. This is going to be the Anti-Pilling Everyday DK. And for this kit, I am using the color Fern Green. This is your anti-pilling, so it's going to stay like nice and smooth once you wash these. This yarn is machine washable, and you can even throw it in the dryer, which is really cool. And then we also have a main color, and we've got 3 balls of this one. It's like super soft, and this is a beautiful like light green color. It's called Meadow. It's like a dusty sort of earthy green, and see how beautiful those go together. And then of course the pattern here. So it's got this beautiful booklet with the entire pattern on here. You guys, I'm going to do this with you. What I love about this kit is it includes everything you need to get started. So if you are just beginning, you don't need to buy a bunch of stuff. You just buy one of these kits, and it's got every single thing included for you to make the entire set. These also make great gifts if you know somebody who wants to get started on a new artistic, fun hobby that is not going to break the bank, you guys. All right, so let's do this together. So we're going to start out using the 4mm crochet hook that comes in the kit. So the pattern tells me with the contrast color, which is abbreviated as CC, to chain 28. So I'm going to pull this part out here from this side, and then I'm going to pull from the opposite side that I pulled, because see, this is like the outside of the ball. So we want to take from the inside and just grab from there. It might be a little bit of a blob to come out, but you can find the end. There it is. Okay, here's my end, and let's just start out with a slip knot. So I just put the shorter strand, cross that over the longer strand, and then I make a loop, turn that loop, and grab the short strand, and then just pull that through, and that is my slip knot. I'm going to go in with my hook and just tighten that up a little bit, not too much, and do my chains. Okay, so yarn over, insert, and pull through. That's 1 chain. Yarn over, pull through. That's 2 chains. 3, 4, 5, and I want to do 28. Okay, I have made a chain of 28, and now I'm going to go on to row 1, and the pattern tells me to double crochet in 4th chain from hook, and it lets me know that those first skipped chains, so if I go into the 4th chain, I'm going to skip 3 chains, right? Those first 3 skip chains count as a double crochet, so make sure you count that as your first double crochet of the row, okay? And then in each chain across, and then I'm going to turn my work, and at the end of row 1 I should have 26 double crochet. So let me show you what that looks like. So the pattern tells me to go into the 4th chain from the hook, so you're just going to count here 1, 2, 3, and this right here is the 4th chain from the hook. So I'm going to yarn over and then insert directly into that 4th chain. You can go in through the front like this, or you can work in the back bumps of the chains if you prefer. You see those bumps, bump, 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 bump. I like to go in through the back bump, but you can go in through the front if you prefer. So I have my yarn over, and then I'm just going to insert my hook under that bump. That's the 4th chain from the hook. Yarn over again to pull through. And now I have 3 chains on my hook at this point.
yarn over to pull through the first two, and then yarn over once again and pull through those last two, and that completes the double crochet. Now let me just show you what I've done here for beginners, okay? I went in with that double crochet into the fourth chain from the hook. So as you can see, I have those 3 chains right here that I skipped, and those are tall enough to create a double crochet. So we're just going to count those as a double crochet. So this right here is my first double crochet of the row. This right here is my second double crochet of the row. Now the rest of this row is pretty simple. We're just going to work a double crochet into each one of those chains. And because I started in the back bumps, I'm going to continue in the back bumps. But again, you can go straight in through the front of the chain if you prefer. So into the next chain, I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook right under that back bump, yarn over, pull through. Now I have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2 again. Okay, and now you can see I have 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to do that again. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now I'm just going to work that exact same stitch, that double crochet that I showed you, into each remaining chain of the row until I get to this very last chain here. And now once I get to the end of the row, remember I should have 26 double crochets, and we will count that when we get to the end, okay? Okay, so now I stopped about 2 chains short of the last chain because I just want to make sure you see this. So here's 1, 2, those are the very 2 last chains of the row, and I want to just make sure you don't forget to work into those 2 chains, okay? So there's 1 double crochet, and then right into that last one where that slip knot was, we're going to put that last double crochet, okay? And now what we can do is just take a pause here and count our stitches to make sure we're on the right track. Okay, let's start from the beginning of this row. And remember that was that first double crochet. It looks different than the others. Those first 3 chains that we skipped count as a double crochet. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. So each one of those little columns is a double crochet, okay? So it's easy to count double crochets from this view, from this point of view. And we can refer back to the pattern here. And I have a little dash right there, and then it says 26 double crochet. So anything that's after the dash, that is going to be the stitch count. And that is just so you make sure you stay on track. So the pattern says, hey, at this point you should have 26 double crochets. Make sure you count and you're on the right track there, okay? So one of the most important things in crochet is keeping your stitch count consistent throughout all the rows. If you have an inconsistent stitch count, meaning if you accidentally skip a stitch or you accidentally add a stitch where you're not supposed to, your work is not going to be a nice straight scarf like this. It's going to start to flare out this way or go in this way or kind of do a crazy zigzag thing, okay? So make sure you're always counting your stitches. So now we're going to move on to row 2. Row 2 right here, it tells me to chain 3, and that chain 3 counts as a double crochet here and throughout. And then it tells me to double crochet in the next double crochet and each double crochet across, turn, okay? Super simple. Here I am at the end of that row that we just worked, row 1. And remember it said chain 3. So we're going to do those chains just like we did in the beginning. So 1, 2, and 3. Now that brings me up to the height that I need to be to continue with the next row. And that first chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So here I'm going to turn my work and just take a look right here because I want to make sure you do not work a stitch into this first double crochet here. You see how those 3 chains are coming out of the top of that stitch right there? That's a double crochet. That is the stitch that is worked into this stitch. Even though it's a chain 3, it counts as a double crochet. So you don't want to put another double crochet into that space there, okay? You want to go into the next stitch, which is right here, and then the next one, which is right here under those 2 loops, okay? So make sure you are placing your stitches in the right spot. So here we go. We're going to yarn over, and then I'm going to insert my hook under both of those loops. So a little different than working into the chain. You're inserting under the 2 loops, and then you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, again 3 loops on the hook, just like before. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and that's my first double crochet. Well, it's technically my second double crochet because that first double crochet was that chain 3 that we worked, okay? And so that's 2, 1, 2. And now I'm going to go for my third one under the 2 loops, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, now let's do the fourth one, yarn over, insert under both loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we are just going to repeat that until we get to the last couple stitches of the row, and I'll show you how to do that. But as you can see at this point, I have 1 double crochet worked into each of the double crochets, and I'm just going to continue that across until I get to the last 2 stitches, okay? Okay, so I just did that double crochet into each double crochet across, and here I am at the end of the row. I still have 3 double crochets left, so 1, 2, and then this last double crochet, okay? That looks a little different than the others. So we're just going to do double crochet into the next, double crochet into the next, and I'm just going to yarn over and insert, so just into that top of that chain, just kind of go through the chain like you would work into a starting chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, just like the rest of the double crochets that we did, okay? And again, at the end of row 2, you're just going to want to count each one of these stitches that you made to make sure you still have 26 stitches. And now the instructions tell me repeat row 2 until the piece measures 6 inches. Okay, and then switch to the main color. So we are just going to continue to repeat this row exactly as I told you. And then when I get to where kind of it looks like about 6 inches, I'm going to just take my tape measure and measure from the bottom of where we started right here, the very bottom of the scarf, to and upward, and make sure I have 6 inches. Okay, here we are back. I have worked about 6 inches. If you're a little over or a little under the 6 inches, that's perfectly fine. You just want to make sure you count these rows so that way when you do the other pocket of the scarf, you have the consistent number of rows for both pockets. Okay, so I did 13 rows, total rows of double crochet. And then when I get to the other side, my other pocket, I want to make sure I have, again, 13 rows in the contrast color, okay? Now, I didn't work the last 2 stitches because I want to show you how to change color at this point. And now we are going to switch to the main color. And with the main color, we're going to repeat row 2 until we get 74 inches. And we're going to do that in the last stitch of the last row. So remember, I have 2 stitches left here, okay? So I'm going to work that double crochet. And now for the last double crochet, I'm going to yarn over, insert into the top of that chain 3, which is the double crochet. I'm going to yarn over, pull a loop through. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through the first 2. And now at this point is where I want to stop and join my new color, okay? And this is how you change color in crochet if you've never done that. So now I'm going to take the short end of my new color that I want to join, and I'm just going to drape it over my hook like that, okay? And now, instead of pulling through with that other color that I'm working, I'm going to just leave that to fall behind, and then I'm going to pull through the new color that I want to switch to, okay? And if it loosens up a little bit like that, just give it a little pull to tighten things up. Now make sure you're not working with that short end. Make sure you're working with the end that's connected to the ball. Now here we are. You can see that I'm set up to work the next row with the new color. I have my last stitch worked with the old color, and I'm set up to work the next row with the new color. So I'm just going to repeat my rows like I was before, a repeat of row 2, which starts with a chain of 3, 1, 2, 3. That's our first double crochet. I'm going to turn the work at this point, and I'm going to yarn over and make a double crochet in the next stitch, a double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and I'm just going to continue working double crochets into each double crochet across. When you have these two ends here, we're just going to cut the fern, and then I'm going to weave in these ends, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now so you don't have these kind of loose ends hanging here. So first I'm going to cut my yarn right here, leave a bit of a tail to weave in, and these stitch markers and tapestry needle came along with my kit, of course. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this tapestry needle, and this is going to be what I weave in my ends with. Okay, I didn't finish the row, so I'm just going to pull that yarn up like that so I don't lose that yarn and it starts to pull back. If you you know, if you pull this way, you're going to pull back everything, all the work that you did. Okay, so we're just going to make a long loop there so I don't lose anything. And you could always put a stitch marker in there too. If you like, if you want to like put your work down and go do something else for a while, you can put a stitch marker in this loop, and that will prevent it from pulling back and essentially ripping out your work that you did. Okay, so let's start with this short end. I'm just going to feed that through the eye of my needle here, and this is really simple. This is how you're going to weave in all of your ends for any crochet project that you have. We're just going to take this and go under the same color. I don't want to go into this color too much if I don't have to, because that's going to show. And then I kind of just do a little bit of a zigzag. You don't have to be super exact. Just kind of go in a back and forth, go through another loop. I'm kind of just finding loops of the stitch and weaving through there, and this is just so this yarn tail doesn't catch and just kind of, you know, pull your work apart. And some people think, oh, this is never going to stay, like it's going to unravel, but as long as you do a few of these like sort of back and forth zigzags, it will not unravel. Even once you wash it and dry it and everything else, it's not going to unravel. So now I have that end there, and I'm just going to cut right at the end. And now you can see that tail is completely gone. Okay. And then you're going to do the same thing with this tail. Just weave that in with your tapestry needle, and that will disappear as well. And that is how you weave in your ends in crochet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to continue working my double crochets back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Make sure you have 26 for each row. And then the pattern tells me to just work a repeat of that row 2 until I hit a length of 74 inches from this bottom edge. So 74 inches from here. I'm not going to do the full 74 because I just want to show you how to do the last part of this. And then I'll show you the finished project. So we're going to pretend I did 74 total inches from here. And then once I hit that 74 inches, I am going to just simply switch colors again to the contrast color. So remember how we did it before on the very last stitch of the row. We go to start the double crochet, 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through those first 2 loops, and before we finish that stitch, while we have the 2 loops on the hook, we're going to drop the current color that I'm using, and I'm just going to join that contrast color by picking up the short edge, place it over my hook, and just pull that through. And once again, I'm set up to begin working my next row in the new color. I'm just going to pull this to tighten it a bit. I'm going to drop that old color. Don't work with the tail, so put that to the back. And now here I'm working with the one that's attached to the ball. And then I can just continue on. So I'm going to do chain of 3, 1, 2, 3. That's my first double crochet. Turn the work, and now just repeat row 2 again, continuing with a double crochet in each double crochet across, and just continue working for another 6 inches for this pocket. Okay, this is my little sample. I'm going to show you now the completed scarf. So see, we did 6 inches, okay, and then we joined the main color. And then we just worked and worked and worked for about 74 inches. And then we joined the contrast color again here, and then we worked another 6 inches in the contrast color. And all you have to do to create the pockets is simply take this section, fold it upward, and then I'm just going to seam along this edge here to close the pockets. Okay, so let's just take some of this main color, and a good rule of thumb, so let's say you want a length of about this much to seam the side. I usually do like 1, 2, 3. That's going to be more than enough to do that seam. So I'm just going to cut that length. Okay, we're going to put that onto my tapestry needle again. And you can pin this down if that helps to do the seaming. And the pattern tells me to just whip stitch these 2 ends together. And I'll show you how to whip stitch. So here we're working on along the edges of the rows. Okay, so we're just going to insert and pull through. So this is whip stitch, just like the super basic stitch. I'm just going to insert through the next sort of loop of a stitch on the contrast color, and then through the next loop of a stitch onto the main color, and pull that through to whip stitch. Okay, so go through the first section and the next section. I'm just kind of finding a loop and just pulling it through there. Trying to keep it as neat as possible. And then every so often I'm just gonna pull that taut and just continue that all the way across to the end. Okay, so now I just whip stitched across the edge here, only to create the pocket. So you only need to whip stitch the section of the contrast color where join that to the main color. And as you can see, I have a nice neat edge here. So you're just going to weave in those ends like we did before, and then repeat the same thing. Just whip stitch this side just up to here. And that creates just a beautiful little pocket for both ends of your scarf. This one is all finished here, so you can see what it looks like. And next I am going to show you how to do the hat. So join me in the next part of this video and we'll go through the hat from start to finish. Okay, so now we are going to move to the hat section, and I'm going to work the small size hat. So for all of the sizes, we're just going to begin with our main color here, and I'm going to start with a chain of 4. Okay, so slip knot just like we did before. And here I want to form a ring to begin at the top of the hat and then work our way down to the brim. Okay, so we're going to start with a small ring here, and to make a ring we're just going to do a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like we did that starting chain earlier. But here, to form a ring with this chain, all I have to do is insert my hook into that very first chain that I made. Okay, so this is the first one, and then yarn over, pull that loop through. And now that I have those 2 loops on my hook, I'm just going to yarn over and pull this loop through this loop. So pull the second loop through the first loop, just like that. And now I have a little ring here, and I can work my stitches directly into the center of that ring. So I'm going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now I'm just going to work 11 double crochet into that ring. So work your double crochets just like we did for the scarf, but instead of working them into either chains or stitches, we're going to work them directly into the center of that ring. So yarn over, insert into the center of that ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 again to make a double crochet. So that first chain 3, that's my first double crochet, and then I did another double crochet, and now I want to do 10 more. Just continue to work into that ring. 10 more double crochets. Go ahead and count and make sure you have a total of 12 double crochets worked around for the top of the hat. And now we need to join this round because we just want to continue working this way. So around and around and around. We don't have to turn our work at all. I'm just going to go to the top of that first double crochet that I made, and I'm going to insert my hook into the top of that stitch, yarn over, pull a loop through, and now that I have 2 loops on the hook, I'm going to pull this loop through this loop to finish the slip stitch, okay? And that is essentially the join. So we joined the round with a slip stitch, and round 2 tells me to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That's my first double crochet now. And now I want to increase here, so the pattern tells me to double crochet into the same double crochet. So I just want to put another stitch in that same stitch. So that's 2 double crochets there. And then I want to continue working 2 double crochets into each remaining double crochet around. So if I work 2 stitches into each of the first 12 that I did in round 1, then I should have 24 stitches at the end of round 2, okay? So make sure you're not skipping any stitches. Just find the tops of those double crochets, and going under both loops, you're gonna work 2 double crochets into each double crochet around, okay? So that's 2 in that one. Here's my next one. I'm gonna work 2 into this next one. 1 and 2. And now you'll just continue to increase by working 2 double crochets into each 1 double crochet from round 1. Okay, here I am at the very last double crochet. Just want to show you what that looks like. Don't get it confused. Sometimes this one right here can appear to be another stitch, but it's not. That's the stitch that you work that first stitch out of. So this is the first stitch of the round. This is the last stitch of the round right here. And then if you get confused by that, you can always place a stitch marker, one of these. Just place that right there in that first stitch so you don't get confused where your first and your last stitch of the round are. Okay, so here's the last stitch of the round, and I just want to complete this round 2 by working those 2 final double crochets into that last stitch. And then that's what that's going to look like when you're finished there. At the end of the round, I counted here, and I have a total of 24 double crochets for round 2. Now let's move on to round 3. Just remember, we have to join with a slip stitch at the top of this first double crochet. So just like we did before, we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop that's on the hook, okay? Okay, so now I can begin round 3. I'm going to start my round with a chain of 3, and that counts as my first double crochet. And then the pattern tells me to work 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So into the next stitch, I'm going to increase again. So I'm going to do 1 and 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And now into the next stitch, I just want 1 double crochet. So 1, and then into the next, we're going to increase again with 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And then in the next one, we just want 1 double crochet. So as you can see, I'm alternating my increases. So I have 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. So I'm increasing every other stitch. And here I am at the end of the round. I did 1 double crochet in this stitch. So in my very last stitch, I'm going to do my increase with 2 double crochets in that last stitch, and then of course join to the top of the first stitch of the round with a slip stitch. And now we're going to move on to round 4. So for round 4, chain 3, that's the first stitch, double crochet in the next double crochet, 2 double crochet in the next double crochet, double crochet in the next 2. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, that's my first double crochet. And then it tells me to work 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So that's 1 double crochet. And now increase right here in the next stitch. So that's 2 double crochets. That's my increase. 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And now a double crochet in each of the next 2. So 1 and 2, no increases there. And now increase again in the next stitch. So 2 double crochets in the next stitch. That's 1 and 2. And then work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So 1 double crochet and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then increase again in this next stitch. So 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, and at the end of round 4, I'm just going to join with a slip stitch. So now we're on to round 5, and I am gonna chain up 3. So that's my first double crochet, and this is gonna follow the same sort of pattern. We're gonna alternate our increases. So I'm gonna do a double crochet in the first double crochet. So really it's the second stitch of the round, because remember that chain 3 is the first double crochet, and then a double crochet in the next stitch. So now you can see we have 1, 2, 3 double crochets to start, and now I'm going to increase in the next stitch. So 2 double crochets in the same stitch, that's my increase. And now I want 3 double crochets with no increases, right? So double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And then my increase again, so 2 double crochets in this stitch, and then work 1 double crochet in each of the next 3. So double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, and then you will just continue in that manner all the way around, and that will complete round 5. Okay, and here I am at the last repeat. So I just did an increase here. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, and then an increase in the very last double crochet here. So that's 2 double crochets in that last double crochet. And once again, we're just going to join at the top of the first stitch of the round with a slip stitch. So just insert and pull that loop through and pull that loop through. Okay, so now we have 5 rounds. And one last round here, and we're just going to kind of follow that same sort of pattern system that we've been doing. We've got our first double crochet, which is a chain 3, and then I'm going to do a double crochet in the next double crochet, a double crochet in the next double crochet, and a double crochet in the next double crochet. And that starts off my round with 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, and then work the increase here. So 1, 2, that's my increase. And then now we're going to do a double crochet in each of the next 4 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then do the increase in the next double crochet. So that's 2 double crochets in the next double crochet. So we're going to finish the end of round 6, and then we're going to move on to the body of the hat. Refer back to your pattern. At the end of round 6, you should have 72 double crochets. If you're working the one of the larger sizes, either the medium or the large, you're going to continue until you have either 78 double crochet for the size medium or 84 double crochet for the size large. And that's just one more round for either of those sizes. Okay, so once you complete that last round, you're going to move on to the pattern where it says all sizes. So I'm working on size small, and it just tells me work even in double crochet rounds until the piece measures 6 1/4 inches from the beginning. Okay, so now what I will do when it says, whenever a pattern says work even, that just means no increases or decreases. And remember, I have 72 double crochets at the end of round 6. So at the end of all the next, all of these subsequent rounds that I'm about to work, I should also have 72 double crochets. So working even, again, we just work 1 double crochet into each double crochet around. No increasing or decreasing at this point. And the number of rounds is going to depend on your measurement. So what I'm going to do is just work 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. At the end of the round, I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And then I'm going to count my stitches and make sure I have 72 double crochets. And then I'm just going to continue working another round and another round and another round, even until I can see that my hat measures 6 1/4 inches from where I started. Okay, so go ahead and work a few more rounds, even in double crochet, and then I will meet you back here and we will measure our hat to see if we're on the right track for the main body section of the hat. So here I am a few rounds into working the even rounds. I only did 2 even rounds, but as you can see, it's already starting to take shape. So here's the top of the hat, and it's shaping up really nicely to form that sort of tube to go over your head. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what that looks like after you start working those even rounds. So just continue working the even rounds, and what you'll do is take your measuring tape, and here's my beginning round that I started, and then I'm just going to take my measuring tape and measure here, and then once you get to about 6 1/4 inches right here, that's when you want to stop and move on to the next step. So I'll meet you back when we get to 6 1/4 inches. Okay, so I just worked several rounds even in double crochet, and my hat is the length that the pattern tells me that it should be at this point for the size small. I just have a couple more stitches here on this last round, and then we are simply going to change colors again. So here I am in the last yarn over of the last double crochet, and I'm just gonna drop my contrast, or drop my main color, and just join my contrast color just as we have been before, and then I can join the round with the new color with a slip stitch. And then here I'm just going to tighten this up, and then I'll go ahead and weave in these ends here so that way I don't have any kind of loose ends flying around. Okay, and now the pattern just tells me to continue to work even for 2 more inches. So we're just going to do exactly what we've been doing here. Chain up 3, that's the first double crochet, and then work 1 double crochet into each double crochet of the round until I get to the last stitch, and then I'll just join with a slip stitch. So I'm just going to work a few more rounds just as I have been, even in double crochet. You should have the same amount of stitches for each round, and we just want to make the sort of like brim in the contrast color, just like I have here in my hat. Okay, so we're just going to work a few more rounds until we have about 2 inches in the contrast color, and then we will do the pom-pom. Okay, so I just worked 5 more rounds in double crochet in the contrast color to make this beautiful brim, and I just want to show you how we join the very last round here. So I cut my yarn because I'm all finished, and I'm just going to do a join that kind of keeps it nice and smooth so you don't have like a knot right there. So I just put that tail end onto my tapestry needle, and then I'm going to go under the 2 loops in the top of the first double crochet. So that's that chain 3. I'm just going to insert my tapestry needle under both of those loops, just like that, and pull that yarn through. And that kind of closes that right there, so it looks like this. And now I'm just going to go in from the top down into the center of the top of the stitch here. So just go right in through there and out through the back like that. And just pull that through, and that makes like a nice, just like a nice loop. So it just looks like there's another stitch on there, and you have a nice seamless join. And that's how you join that very last round. And then I'm just gonna do my little zigzag here again, like we did before, to weave in this tail end here. And that's a nice brim. You can wear it down, or you can wear it folded up like this. So now lastly, we are just going to make a pom-pom to attach to the top of our hat, okay? And your kit comes with a pom-pom maker. So it looks like this, and these are super easy to use. We're just gonna grab these little tabs here and open this here and open the other side like this. And starting on the outside of this little like half circle, just join the tail end there. Just kind of wrap it around, hold it in place, and then begin wrapping from the ball. So this is pretty basic, just wrapping this around the half circle. And probably the most important part here is just to try to keep the wraps as consistent as possible. So if they're not if there's not like too much bunched up in one section or the other. I'm just gonna go from one end of the half circle to the other and then back around. Okay, so once I have a good amount of wraps, you can see it's nice and full and pretty consistent. Then I'm just gonna bring this same piece of yarn over to the other side, and then just start right here. And if this is down here, that's fine like that, because this is gonna turn over here. So and I'm just gonna do the exact same thing on this side. I'm gonna try to put fairly snug, wrap these around, and then try to do like a nice consistent, just keep wrapping around. The more like strands you can get around this, you know, snugly and evenly, the more sort of fluffy your pom-pom's gonna be. So I try to get it really a lot of yarn around here, so I have a nice dense pom-pom. Okay, so now we have the second side filled up, and I'm just gonna press that down so it's attached. And now the fun part, we're gonna take some good scissors here. I'm gonna cut an end, and now right here in between these two tabs, I am going to cut. So I just want to cut this straight down the center. So I'm just cutting straight down the center all the way around the other side. Cut all those strands. So then once you've got all those strands cut, we are gonna just wrap a tie around the center. So just put your strand in the center. Right through the center of both parts. Okay, so once you get that wrapped, we're just gonna tie it in a knot. Really tight as you can. So sometimes I'll do like a wrap and then pull it up this way. And then do another wrap and then tie a knot. So pull that, because I want that knot to be wrapped around the center and tied around the center. And put a knot in here. And another knot. So what I want to do is hold on to that center one where I made the knot, and I'm going to use this long tail that I made the knot in the center to attach to the top of the hat. So I can cut this piece here. Okay, so now we just have to open this back up from both of these tabs here, and then just pull that apart. So those two pieces come apart. And there's your pom-pom. It's all held together by that tie that we did. And this is pretty nice and fluffy and dense. Long strands here. I'll just cut those off. And you can trim this as small as you want. If you want it to be smaller and not so fluffy on the outside, you can just keep trimming evenly, so you have a nice even surface. Looks really perfect. And then just take your little tail end, thread it onto your tapestry needle. And then I'm just gonna attach it to the top here. I'm gonna have to weave it around a few stitches. So just gonna eyeball this, maybe go in and out here, and then I'll go through the center. But I want to get it nice and tight so it doesn't flop around. And then just go right through to the center. And now I'm going to go on the inside and weave it in a few more stitches around it, kind of a zigzag. And then once you have it right to where you want it, you can just go ahead and weave in the rest of those ends. And then here's a few of the other colors, so you can see all the colors this kit comes in. And that's how you make the hat and scarf. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.